Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about Secret Diary of a Call Girl. This show came back out in 2007 and ended in 2011. It is a British comedy show that depicts the life of this one call girl by the name of Hannah Baxter, who goes by the name Belle when she has clients. I've talked about the first episode of season one. Go watch that. This is a very interesting and also very good show. In America, it came out on Showtime. Over in the UK, it came out on ITV2. You can actually watch this on Tubi, or you can just buy it on DVD. They have both regions 1 and 2. I got invested in this show a few years back because I started to think about this one singer by the name of Billie Piper. She is the lead actress of the show, and she became an executive producer by the third season after she got pregnant in the second season. Funny, getting pregnant and she's a prostitute in the show. Oh, the ironicness of it all. But it had nothing to do with that. But like, I was wondering, because like, when I was a teenager growing up, and UPN, before UPN became the CW, there was this music special documentary talking about Billie Piper is gonna take over America through music. And so, I watched the documentary. I love the documentary. She's a really good singer and everything. She's old school, like pop, you know what I'm saying? Like, not so much bubblegum pop, but kinda like British pop is very different from like American pop. So when you watch her music videos, they're very much like different and stuff. And so I've always wondered what the heck ever happened to this singer, you know what I'm saying? Well, it turns out she put a hold on singing and went into acting. And I remember I saw her briefly on, what's that one show I talked about one time? That has Eva Green in it. Crap. I want to say Peak something. It's kind of like a supernatural dark show. I forgot the name of it, but she played the bride of Frankenstein. And she's also been in Doctor Who and, some other stuff. And so when I heard about this show, I'm all like, oh, this sounds like an interesting title. So I decided to check it out and everything. And I was very shocked and surprised at how good this show was. And also how good her acting was. Because most singers can't act, but she does like a really good job and stuff. Although her acting does change from season one to the rest of the series. And season one is more stilted. She talks more seductive and she doesn't have much of a personality. She's mostly just like a seductress type of tone she has to her acting. But then by season two and then the rest of season 3 and 4, her acting completely changes. Her character is given more of a personality. She actually smiles now and everything. Because the show lasted for 4 seasons and each season is only 8 episodes. And they're about 20 minutes long. I'm surprised they was able to get so much detail in just 20 minutes and stuff in that 8-season arc. And that's pretty good. Because the first season mostly revolves around just like Hannah and what her life is like being a prostitute. She's a high-end class prostitute and everything. By season 2, we get to see what it's like for her to actually date somebody who's not a client and stuff. Because, the thing about the adult, mature lifestyle like XXX and everything is that their lives are very much different from that of regular people. And the third season, it's about the book she wrote and everything. And so, like, this show is like, it's fascinating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very fascinating because of the simple fact that, a lot of people have such a negative view on mature content that's like XXX. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have a bad view on strippers, on like porn, on like hookers and everything. And like there are some people, a lot of women who aren't in the business, all like, leave these women alone, that's their job, blah blah. But then there's other people talking about what they're doing is wrong, they're vile, they're spreading diseases and stuff. And I remember back when I was in college, I found this documentary on YouTube called The Downside of Porn. Talks about all the bad stuff about porn, because when anything you do in life, there's always a good side and there's always a bad side. And so, like, like this one porn star, former actress, Maitland Ward Baxter, she played Rachel on Boy Meets World. She's always praising porn and everything and talking about how safe it is and how enjoyable it is. And if you say anything bad about it, she'll attack you online and defend it and everything, right? However, while that's all good and everything, I'm glad she's having a good time. There is a downside to this stuff. Like, there's a dangerous life. There's a reason why strippers, porn stars, and hookers use fake names, and some of them will change their like appearance and stuff because it is a downside to it, because it is a dangerous lifestyle. And this show, while it doesn't really emphasize on the dangerous lifestyle, it will touch on it a little bit, because there are times where Hannah is about deals with a client in the first season who's a little creepy, to the point where she's constantly telling him, you know what, we ain't doing this, get out. He doesn't want to leave, but then he finally leaves and everything. But then in the second season, she is almost assaulted and everything. And so they touch on it a little bit, but they don't really go into the real detail of how dangerous it is. But one thing I do like and appreciate, they do show what it's like to be in the adult business entertainment and how you try to navigate that lifestyle with that of your real lifestyle. And Hannah is very lonely and everything. She has to be for her safety and stuff. Her real name is Hannah, but she goes by the name of Belle. And so, like, she can't do things that a normal person can do. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can't, like, tell, like, people what she really does for a living. She stays isolated for the most part, like in her apartment, not really going to many places, for the fear somebody might recognize her and stuff. Like, what is it? Like, she doesn't date none of her clients, and she refuses to fall in love. Because if you fall in love, then that weighs on your head of, hey, how can I be in love with this person but yet touch all these other people? You know what I'm saying? And of course, if they find out, are they going to be okay with it and stuff? She can't even tell her friends, and some of her family, they know, but they don't really approve of it, but they just let her do it because she's an adult. But deep down inside, they don't approve of it. And money is a huge factor as to why she does what she does. But then it later becomes an addiction, because we do see her fall in love with somebody. And she tries to give up this lifestyle, but she can't because she enjoys it way too much. And, because, one thing I've always wondered, like, anybody who's ever been to like a strip club or like seen like a porn, you always ask yourself this one question. How come you never see these people out and about, like in the grocery stores and this and that? Yes, they do go out and about, and I'm sure they get recognized if they don't wear a disguise and everything. But there's this one porn star. I saw this one, what was it, a documentary or something like that. She's also a soccer mom, and she has a very distinct look. I don't know if she's natural or if she has saline implants and stuff, but she got some huge, you know what I'm talking about. And so when you look at her, it's just kind of like, she's a soccer mom? Like, what? And of course, that's going to cause a lot of uproar in the community if people ever find that out and everything. Because a lot of parents aren't going to want, like, them associated around kids and everything. And in fact, there was uproar with this television show that Billy had to defend. They say that the show tried to glamorize prostitution. But she said, you only see one side of it, like the sex trafficking and the bad stuff. But these are like the high end class, like hookers and everything. Like Lamar Odom likes to go to and stuff like that. Like, because there are different types. They're your typical streetwalkers who just, stand by the corner, picking up anybody. And those are considered the more trashier ones, you know what I'm saying? The ones that dress like strippers stand out. Then you got more of like, the more internet based ones that like just find people on the internet and they meet up their meetings that way and then they meet in person. Then you have the really trashy looking ones who don't care about their appearance. But then you have the high class ones that work in the actual building, and they have like a boss, and the boss pimps them out, and stuff like that. They wear like more elegant clothes. It's similar to what I said about that show called Harlots on Hulu and everything. You always got two different types. And so like and then we also in the show we get to see, what's it like for her when her friend finds out, her male friend who's her best friend finds out what she does and how he acts about it and stuff like that. So it's not just a show about some sleazy, slutty woman who's like clickety clacking with like a bunch of men. You actually get into the psychology on the psych. I can't talk right now. The psychiatry. How can I talk? Psychology of like what it's like to be in an adult business, but also try your best to live a normal life and everything. And it really does make you rethink how you feel about them. Because, like, everybody else, I was taught to hate people in the adult business because of what they do and how they have no regard for who they do and everything. And, you always hear they're disease ridden and stuff like that. But, a lot of them take safety precautions and everything. But there's always some slip ups and everything. 'Cause I remember that those two porn scares. Like, well, first there was one in the 80s about AIDS, and then there was one a couple of years back about that Mr. Marcus man spreading like things. And I remember reading something else about something in Texas or California. I think before the pandemic or something like that. And so like, there do be some outbreaks, but they're very rare. It's just the ones that try to get away with it that are like, really screw things up and everything. Because in the porn business, of course, they get tested like a lot, and they don't use condoms because they say that takes away from the visuals. But like, on this show, Hannah, she makes the guy use condoms and stuff because, spreading diseases is wrong and everything. And when you stop and think about it, hookers and porn stars really are very similar. You know what I'm saying? They both have sex for money. They both use fake names. They both act differently when they're around their clients because like there's a couple of like adult stars that I follow on like line. And of course, when they're talking to their clients, trying to advertise, they say the most dirtiest thing ever. But then when they're just being their normal selves, it's like, wait, who the heck is this? Like, they're sounding like a average normal person and talking about what show they like or how they hate how society is treating people. And, and some of them try to sound like philosophers and everything. And when you hear them talk that way, it's kind of like the first thing that comes in your head is kind of like, who are you to say something like all philosophical and everything, and you literally take your clothes off for money and clickety clack? But then it's kind of like, oh wait, there is other sides to people and stuff like that, and that's why you shouldn't really judge a book by like its cover. And they wish they could have like a normal life and Yeah, because another thing about the whole loneliness is they don't make too many friends that are outside the business because those people, they don't know if they can trust them or if those people are going to harm them or take advantage of them. So they really live their life kind of like in isolation, kinda, you know what I'm saying? And having rarely interact with people and stuff like that. And like most of the people, they don't even tell them, hey, this is what I do for a living and everything, because they will be judged and stuff. And then there are people who they make friends with within the industry, just like you'll see in this show, that take advantage of them. They steal their clients. They get greedy over money and stuff like that. And so, like, either way, they just don't have it easy and stuff. But when it comes to stuff like this, you always hear from the female perspective. But you never hear from the male perspective of like a gigolo and everything. And so, like, that's why I like shows like this. They're like eye openers, you know what I'm saying? Into a world you don't understand and everything. And there's a reason why, like, so many people in the adult business, they don't like recruiting people. Like, if somebody asks them, hey, because they hate being asked questions and stuff because they don't want to think about that type of lifestyle 24/7 because they're just as normal as everybody else, you know? And I remember, like, I used to have a friend, an online friend back in the day when I was in college. And she was just a regular, normal person. Then she decided to be like an adult model. I don't know what the heck she does now because I don't talk to her. But it's just kind of like their personality will change and everything once, like, they become in that lifestyle. They tell you less stuff. They won't do nothing unless like you pay for it and stuff like that. And it's like they act like a completely different person and they hate being asked questions. But of course, people ask questions because they're curious, you know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand that lifestyle. And but it's like they hate being asked, like, because they don't want to. Like, once they're on their downtime, they don't want to think about that stuff. And they hate when people are like, well, how can I be one and everything? They're like, like, don't ask me that question. Figure it out for yourself. Because it's all about a business and it's all about money. Because if they say you get recruited and you end up being better than they are, then you're gonna get more money than what they do and stuff. And of course, nowadays, just about everybody's quitting their job and joining OnlyFans and stuff. Like that one former Disney Channel star, like after acting, he went to OnlyFans and now he's doing that. And they make so much money and stuff. And that's one main reason why they do what they do. It's about money. Some of them do like the activity, but then there are some who literally say, I've heard some porn stars literally say they hate sex. Like they just hate it. Like they have it so much that they're turned off by it and they're turned off by like naked people and stuff. They just do it for like the money. And this is why so many of them don't quit because they just like the money. But some of them get older and some of them don't, their bodies don't stay in shape. So some of them retire and some of them who are still old still do it and everything. But it's like even the ones that retire, they never stay retired for too long because they realize I was making all this money doing this. Now that I got a normal job, I make a heck of a lot less and I can't pay for the lavish lifestyle that I used to have. So they always go back to it or something will hit them financially to where they have to go back into the business. Like this one woman, she did it for a while. She quit for a long time and she started making jewelry and everything. But then something happened and she went right on back to it. But now a lot of them feel a little bit safer because they do the OnlyFans things and stuff. And there are a lot of famous people that appeared in this show, like British people. I'm like, no way, I recognize that person. And two people who played General Zod in Superman television series have appeared in like, this show. So that's kind of like cool and everything. And two stars actually found love. The actor who plays Ben I'm not sure how to say his name. Ito Goldberg, and the actress who plays Bambi, Ashley May Kiwa, something like that. Um, they got married shortly after the show got canceled and everything. I think in 2012, and then they both appeared in the show Salem, which I've also reviewed a long time ago. She was Tituba and he was Isaac. I didn't even recognize him because Isaac had like a beard and everything. And it's just like, man, this is so cool. They started like in the same series and stuff. Now, yes, there is nudity, and yes, there is sex in this show. Like, how could there not be? You know what I'm saying? And there's nudity like on both sides. But all the nudity from like the female side mostly just comes from that of Hannah. And I noticed something when you watch this show. If you watch the first season, then like, Billy gets like naked for like the show, showing like the chest and like the back area. But then by season two, she stopped completely because then it would cut away as she's taking off her clothes to like a body double. And the reason for season two is because she was pregnant and they had to hide it. And but then they continued that with season three, and I believe also with season four. I think in season four they might show her one time, maybe, but that's about it. But like other than that, she stopped. And I read an article many years later stating that like she doesn't like doing that. Like she doesn't like sex scenes, and she won't watch her sex scenes, and she's tired of getting naked and stuff like that, because pretty much every show she's ever been on apparently has caused her to have to get like nude in some way. And so of course you're gonna hate getting typecast, because then you're wondering if this is the only thing people want to see, or do they want to see you for your talent. And so like the show was created by Lucy Preble, and her and Billy have worked together again on the show I Hate Susie. I don't know if I've ever reviewed that or not, but it's on HBO Max. I wasn't particularly into that show. The first episode's interesting, but it's just kind of like, I don't know, it just wasn't for me. And in the second season, you could tell it was going to get canceled because there was only like 3 episodes in the second season as opposed to like the 6 or 10 that was in the first. And so, like, but the show is actually based off a real person and books and blogs in which she wrote. And that person is Brooke, I'm not sure how to say this, Magnetti. It's an Italian last name, and she went, I think, by like the fake name Toro, I think, when she was like, a prostitute and everything. But when she wrote these books, she went under the name of Belle. Belle Tajor, I think that's how you say it. And what's interesting about this woman is that she's actually an American. She was born and raised in America, and then she went to college in America, but then she later transferred to like a college in London. And to pay for the expenses of like college in London, she became a prostitute and everything. And then after she was done doing that, she went to write like some books and everything. And it's only when her identity was found out in 2009, because she wrote this in like 2007, I believe, or 2005. And so the book, so then she later just came out with like, her identity in 2007. And so it turns out she's also a former scientist of all things. Like that's what one of her studies were in like college. So this woman is very, very, very interesting and stuff. And of course, the show is loosely based off of her life and everything. And like I never like when I remember when I first watched this, I never knew this was based on a person. But I always assumed she was British, but never assumed she was actually American and stuff. Like I'm telling you, man, like don't judge a book by its cover. You just never know. Like I remember When I was in college, I used to hang out with these group of people, and they had this one friend. I didn't know her very well, but I knew who she was, and we would all hang out and stuff like that. And then I later found out she's like a stripper. And I remember when we was out at the beach, she met some random dude and like started dating him and stuff like that. And of course, she was a stripper because she had to pay for college and stuff. I don't know whatever happened to her after that school year and stuff. But like I said before, you just don't judge a book by its cover because you just honestly don't know. Because it's like, with like a lot of these like adult stars, there's this one who's kind of retired now, and now she's on YouTube talking about all kinds of stuff and interviewing people, and she built a birdhouse feeder of all things. And it's really interesting when they break character and they just start talking about their real life relationships or their loneliness online. And of course, people will reply, well, then you should get a different job. You're the one who put yourself through this crap and everything. And so it's just really fascinating to like hear from these people. Because I'm remembering a lot of stuff now. Sometime when I was either in college or out of college, I was watching Inside Edition, and there's a woman who's a former porn star now. Her daughter is also a porn star. And her husband is either a current or former U.S. senator and everything. And I remember they didn't state that part. They didn't state that part on Inside Edition. But what they did talk about was how this older woman, she was old, about 50, 60, something like that. And for whatever reason, she said, I just always wanted to get into like porn and like do it and blah, 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 blah. And it's just been a dream of hers. And so she did it. But then it turns out there was more to it than that. Like her daughter's one, she took her daughter's name and everything, like her stage name, and that pissed her daughter off. And she did it for a while, but now she's like done doing it, and because she said there was like a downside to it that she doesn't like, and she hates doing younger guys, and they kept making her do younger guys because whoever your agent manager is, they make you do whatever video that's popular and whatever they want you to do, whether you want to or not. And so now she's, I think, like a speaker trying to talk about. I think she says she's trying to help current porn stars not make bad decisions and like let them know exactly what they're getting themselves into, because going into business for yourself, because you have somebody else like your agent or manager, they'll make you do a video you don't want to do and stuff. And so it's just like fascinating, man, like all these people who are like doing stuff like that now. And as well as I do, there's so many celebrities and politicians that mess around with these types of people. They do and everything. And especially the ones that keep saying they're like really huge like wrestling fans. But they probably did half the roster. Especially when you see them showing up. There's gotta be at least somebody who's like their favorite and stuff like that. Because them wrestlers will do just about anything. Like there's even this YouTube channel, right? Because like I collect toys, so I watch like toy reviews and everything. And so like there's this one YouTube channel that caught my attention because there's a bunch of like porn stars and adult models reviewing toys and everything, and they have no idea what the world they're talking about. They always look so spaced out as they're trying to figure out what to talk about. They don't talk about no articulation or what the brand is or what the type of plastic, if it's a repaint or not. It's just for whatever reason who created that channel hired a bunch of them to talk about toys because they know sex sells and everything, and people are gonna watch. And people are gonna just be there just to look at the women and not actually what they're talking about and stuff. And all you ever read a review talking about, this is the best YouTube channel like in the world, and all this other stuff. And it's like insane and everything. But one thing that bugs me is like there's 3 really famous actors in this show, and 2 of them appear in just 1 episode only, and the other has like a whole story arc for an entire season. And they're portrayed as being like jerk, crappy type people. One is Colin Salmon, the other one is Matt Smith, and the other one is James Darcy. I think that's how you say his name. And it's just like, I remember like Colin from like Resident Evil, the James Bond movies, Krypton, some girls. And like, Matt Smith was like, the Doctor in Doctor Who, starred alongside Billy. And then, James is from the MCU, who played the live action Jarvis and like Agent Carter. And it just sucks that they had to play jerks in like this show. And it's like, why couldn't they play nice people and stuff? Now, like I said, the show is good, and every season is too, except for one season, the fourth season. That's the last one. The fourth season is horrible. And I mean, it's horrible. I don't know what the heck they was thinking, but they lost their freaking minds with that last season. It's like nothing in that season made sense. The cinematography was off. There was no longer, like, normally when you watch this show, it's like a filter every once in a while to like highlight Belle in this kind of glowy kind of way. That's gone. Her apartment is gone, and now she's in this house, and the house is very monochromatic and everything. It's very white, very gray, and it's very bland, and it's boring, and it has no personality. And like I said before, she doesn't even take her clients to her home no more. Bambi, I did not, like, I rewatched this again because I watched this years ago, and it was so bad. I had to fast forward doing a lot of the silly, boring, stupid stuff in season 4. And I didn't see Bambi whatsoever in season 4. I know she did like another show, but they could have crammed her in somewhere. It's too overly silly. Like, this has always been a sex comedy, but the humor was off the wall Disney Channel like and everything, like wacky and everything. And that didn't make no sense. There were all these wacky cutaway scenes similar to Family Guy. When it wasn't being overly silly, it was being overly dramatic to the point where it felt like a completely different show and like a drama. There is Stephanie, the madam, who has Belle become the new madam and everything while she's in prison. And she has Belle watch her 19-year-old daughter come out, take care of her. Why? She's 19 years old. I think the legal age in Britain is like 16 or something like that. So she can take care of herself. Not to mention, when Hannah kicks her out and everything, she goes back to her mom's house that's like really nice and all this other. So why couldn't she stay there? Then they kind of do this thing where Ben and Hannah are basically playing parent to Stephanie's child, Poppy, and everything, the 19-year-old. And it's just kind of like, she's 19 years old. That don't make no sense. And Belle is very inconsistent in this season. She's always been inconsistent every season, but this is the one where she's extremely inconsistent. Because like she does things that Belle in the other seasons would have never done and got mad at like her ex-boyfriends for doing. Then there is Billie Piper herself, who is normally a very good actress. But for some bizarre reason, she's overacting all her lines. Especially when it comes to like the comedy stuff. She's just overreacting and stuff. Trying to be overly like funny and silly for some bizarre reason. There's not that much sex this season, and there's barely any nudity. And a lot of the scenes with Belle just have her in her bra and underwear, especially when she's messing around with a guy. It's just like, is he supposed to magically like phase through her underwear or something like that? Now, if the show would have started off years ago with her just always in her bra and panties and everything and never no nudity. Like, okay, fine, that's typical American television. But they went full on nude in like the first two seasons. And then I noticed once Billy became like, an executive producer, the nudity and the sex and everything started to dwindle on the show. And I know she doesn't like that stuff, but it's a show about a call girl, you know what I'm saying? And so that's just kind of odd. They really should have just ended the show after the third season, because in the fourth season, there's another storyline where they try to make like a play out of her book, and then she goes to like New York, and there's just way too many storylines in that 8 episode like arc and everything, and it just doesn't make no sense. And to think, Amazon Prime wants you to pay for the fourth season. The first three are free, but they make you pay for the fourth. But on Tubi, all the seasons are free. Now, like I said before, you can also get this on DVD, and they have it available in America. However, a lot of the music had to be changed up because a lot of the music is copyrighted and stuff. And because like there's like Adele singing her comeback song from like a couple of years back, on the very last scene of the last episode, and then the whole end credits. It's a beautiful song, and especially what goes on in that scene. But of course, that had to be taken out because they have to pay Adele and everything. So with all that, let's get into some character bios. So Hannah slash Belle, played by Billie Piper, she is our main character. She is an English lit major, or what do you call it? And so, like, instead of going, doing something like teaching English lit, one time I'm assuming she was at a bar or a club and she met this man. She slept with him just to like sleep with him. And he assumed she was a hooker and everything. So he paid her when she went home. And she realized something. Hold on, I'm not a hooker and everything, but he thought I was. And wow, look at all this money. So looking as good as she does and loving, sex and everything, she decided, why not make this a profession and everything? And so she did. She was a high-end class, like, prostitute working for this one madam and everything. And she's extremely popular in London when it comes to that of the gentleman. People love her to death. She's very intelligent. Like, she knows how to, like, study and study like how men are, and like what they want, what their needs are, to help her career flourish and everything. And so she is extremely polite to them. Like, she tell them, like, it's okay if you're nervous and everything. Just take your time and we'll do like whatever you want. But she won't do like really like horrible things. You know what I'm saying? Like when somebody will creep her out, she'll just say, nope, this ain't happening. I'm going home and stuff like that. Or, actually she'll make them go home because it's weird. See, she's smart in the sense that she knows how to separate her personal life and her professional life. Like, she has two completely different cell phones of two completely different colors, so she doesn't mix them up. She tells all her clients that her name is Belle and refuses to like give out her real name. She doesn't get too attached to them like in a romantic kind of sense, and she could care less if they are like have a girlfriend or married, because she ain't thinking about that. She's just thinking about like her money. But one thing she does that's very odd, that surprises me, is like her clients go to her apartment, which is very dangerous and everything. But her clients don't, for the most part, are just like, they're not creepy men who come back over and over without permission. And she lets them know straight up, hey, look, you can only come here when you like schedule a session and everything. And she has like all these locks on her doors, and she has like this video cam thing to see who's outside when they buzz on when she buzzes them up and everything. There's like a little phone thing that connects to it. It's kind of like a security cam type thing, and they can talk to it. And if she doesn't want them to come up, she won't buzz them in. So she takes safety precautions like that. But for some bizarre reason, she just does it in like, her apartment, and she has no weapon. That's the thing. Like, I don't understand it. She's smart and everything else, but she's foolish in that like regard and stuff. But she can read you like a book and everything, and she studies men and what they want and what they like. Lots of different men have different fetishes and stuff like that. And even if it's something she's never done before or feels kind of uncomfortable, she will still do it because she wants to make that money. And so she's kind of like a webcam girl in that regard. They want you to do something and they pay you and you do it. There used to be this one webcam girl who later turned into like a porn star that I used to talk to online. They had her do the craziest thing because she has a big butt. And they will literally have her pop balloons on the floor with her butt, and they will literally pay it. There are a lot of different people who like a lot of different things, and they're willing to pay money for those different things. So women have learned how to like exploit that and make it out of a business and stuff. And yeah, there are some men who do it too, but you mostly hear about the female adult stars and not so much the men. The men stay very low key. Except for that one dude on that former Disney Channel guy. He's not a porn star, but he is on OnlyFans. But he's the only person I know who makes like who's very vocal and loud, while every other male just stays on the down low and everything. And so, like, if there's something she's not quite sure how to do, she will get help from somebody else in the business, like dominatrix. So she went and got this dominatrix, and she brought like her pet, and she taught Belle or Hannah, what you want to call her, how to dominate. And it's pretty funny when you see some of this stuff happen, because this is a sex comedy and everything. And so, like, even if Belle is kind of like not sure what the heck to do, she will do it to the best of her ability. Like, there's this one guy who wants every single thing to be perfect in his mind. So, however he plans it out in his mind, he will want it to be like that. When she came up with a bruise on her face because her sister slapped the crap out of her, that was not planned in his head, and he didn't want to mess around with her. But then he called her back for another session, and he wanted to do stuff with food. Now, I've seen this once before on Jerry Springer. But this was back when Jerry Springer started doing the fake fighting and everything. So the people who was into like food sex, I don't know if they was really into it or not. But that's the first and only time I've ever seen that until watching this show. I think she calls it not splashing, but splurshing or something like that. It was just some weird stuff, and she was trying her best to get into it, but you can tell she thought this was like the weirdest thing ever. But then the guy had her make barnyard animal noises. So she was sounding like a goat, she was sounding like a cow, and she was doing all this while like not trying to laugh and everything. And he could tell she was kind of uncomfortable with it. But then so he stopped that after a while. But then after like having a rough day, she decided, let's give it another go. And so she did it, and she actually enjoyed herself. Then there was the dude who, what was it? She had to put plastic coverings all around her apartment. Oh, what was it? Like, there was something. I don't know if it involved water or what, but it was something that was slippery, and it made her slip and fall. And she was trying to do her best to get in the mood, but it was hard because she was having a rough day. She was slipping and falling all over her apartment, and it just wasn't working out for her. She's even done like golden showers and stuff on like this one dude. And it's like, and then not only that, but she even had like a threesome. She says she's not a lesbian, but she'll go gay for the pay. But then there's something that doesn't make no sense. The second episode, see, like in the second episode, there was this guy that she was supposed to do. And so, like, while he's in the room, the hotel room, and I guess he's getting comfortable. She went down into like, the bar and she met like a male female couple who she got extremely horny for and decided she wanted to do. But then a family emergency came up or something like that, and she had to leave her couple. And then when she went back to that guy, she realized, you know what, I just don't feel like doing this tonight and everything. And so she was willing to do that female at that time, but then when it came to that threesome, she said she's only gay for the pay, but that couple wasn't paying, so she kind of contradicts herself a little bit. And in the following season, she will contradict herself big time. Like, we also learned from her that she doesn't like to spend the night with none of her clients. After she'll do them and say, like, the hotel, because if it's in her apartment, she'll make them just straight up go home. But if it's in like a hotel, then the guy's expecting her to spend the night, sleep over, stuff like that. She tricks them. She waits till they fall asleep. Then she wanders around the room reading a book, trying to like not stay bored. She'll leave, go down into the bar, or she'll go someplace else, probably like watch a movie or something like that, or hang out with her friend. And then she'll come back early in the morning, getting ready, like she's pretending like she's been there like all night. And the guy assumes she's been there like all night. And she does this because she's not afraid she's gonna get hurt. She's afraid she's gonna get attached and fall in love. That's the one thing she does not want to do. She lives her life a very lonely lifestyle. She barely talks to her family. She has like one best friend, and that's about it. And then she has a bunch of clients. And so getting attached to her clients is not something that is smart because it has a bunch of complications to it and stuff. And one of the funniest things is, other than when seeing her do some of the stuff that she does, is like when you see her like, in this one episode, the dominatrix one, you see her running around town with a bunch of like black bags and stuff like that in her hand because she will literally transform her apartment to look like a dungeon type dominatrix layer and everything. Like she will go all out and and make the man as happy as possible. Now, she has made the mistake of falling for guys and stuff. Like in the season one finale with Colin's character. Apparently he's like playing an American, which I don't know why, because he's British. And his voice doesn't really sound that American, but whatever. So like he bought her this brand new spanking apartment, and it's like a huge flat with giant windows and everything else, but it's pretty boring inside compared to her old apartment. It's very monochrome. It's kind of grayish white, and it's uninteresting and stuff. And like her old apartment was very colorful with her purple bed and stuff like that. And so she was going to live there with him because he's super rich and everything. And she's just kind of like, I made it and everything. Because that's one thing that she wants to do. She wants to make it to the top, be super rich and everything like that. And he's never there. He's always on business trips. So she calls her best friend Ben up and's all like, on board and stuff like that. And then at one point when he came home, he was really like, her boyfriend Colin was very, very rude to her. And so she decided, and after hearing something from like, her boss talking about how like, he has tons of apartments all over the world and he collects prostitutes and stuff. So she realizes she's just another girl, a part of like, his desire or whatever, and she's not special. So after he got rude with her and realizing that, she left and went back to her old like apartment. But then in the second season, see, one thing about her in the first season is that she has a very seductive voice. Is very seductive and everything, right? And so like um her acting in the first season, while good, it was kind of stiff. There was little emotion. She didn't really smile. She kept a very straightforward face and everything. But by the second season, they dove more into like the comedy, and she started giggling more. She started having more expressions. She started to feel more like a real person. You know what I'm saying? And then in the second season, she goes to this hotel because she's supposed to meet a client named Alex. And Alex is played by Coleman Blue or Colum Blue, I think his name is, which is funny because he played General Zod in Smallville, and Colin Salmon played General Zod in Krypton. So that's two like General Zods she's like had been on the show. And so in the second season, this is, she's supposed to meet a client named Alex in the bar. So she meets this one guy and she's all like, and he says, "My name is Alex." She assumed that's her client. It's not, it's just a random guy named Alex. So she was gonna bang him and everything. But then she realized that he's not her Alex. Now, she likes to get her money straight up before she does anything, and she likes to have it in an envelope. It makes her feel more sophisticated. And it doesn't, like, if you just give her straight up cash by hand, it feels insulting and everything. And so when he gave her the envelope, it had like his passport and some other stuff in there, and she realized, crap, this isn't my Alex. So she just gets on out of there and don't do nothing with him. But then somehow they meet up again, and I think they were gonna go like on a date. And so um, and she had to leave for some other reason, I forget why. And she always gives the lie that she's a secretary and everything. And so like at some point they start dating, and he knows her as Hannah and not Belle. And no, but here's the craziest thing. When she introduced herself to him, she's like, "Hi, I'm Belle," and everything. And but when they started like actual dating, she called him, oh, she called herself Hannah. Now, she allowed herself to fall in love because he's not technically a client. But when she was doing one of her clients, this one dude who's like paraplegic and stuff, and his dad has to wheel him in. His dad like went down outside, and she left the door unlocked. So in comes Alex, and Alex has like a really good job. He's a doctor, he's nice, and all this other stuff, right? He barges in and sees her banging him, and the dude's all like, "Is this your other like client? Why would you book us at the same time?" So then it started raveling in Alex's mind. Hold up, client, she's banging this random dude. She introduced herself as Belle. So he realized she's a prostitute and wanted nothing to do with her. And when he confronted Ben about this, he was pissed. All like, was this like a laugh that y'all have, and like, and wouldn't tell me. And so he just straight up hated her and everything. And because, in his mind, how could he ever do a woman with this type of profession who doesn't care about him, even though she said she loves him? And that's a word she said she'll never use, the love word. And she used it for him multiple times. She allowed herself to let her guard down and do something she would never do. Because in her mind, he's not a client. So it gave her some ease and everything. And she did everything she could, and she got him back. Like, she told him, "Hey, look, man, I threw away all my like sex clothes, the toys. I'm no longer a prostitute. I've actually found a real job being an actual secretary and everything. I'm doing this for you and everything." So he finally took her back. But then the realization of like she sabotaged her own job. Like, um mentally and everything. When she was supposed to make like copies on paper, she kept saying like, I love Alex, I love Alex, I love Alex, because she had to keep telling herself that she's doing this job that she hates for him. She has a boss that's like a prick and everything, and she just realized, you know what, I'm done with this, and she turned the lights off to the building and she left, and she went back to her old job and didn't tell Alex. So when Alex went to her job and they're all like, oh, she doesn't work here, he realized something's up. If she's lying about going to her secretary job and she's gone all day, she must be back to prostituting. So he called into her boss to schedule an appointment, pretending to be a different person. When she opened up that hotel door and saw it was him, she realized she had been conned. And he knew that she went back to her old job. And that was the end of Alex and everything. He told her, straight up, I can't do this no more. You don't love me enough to quit this job, because the money and just clickety clacketing people was so much for her, that she liked it so much she could not give it up. And that's like something really telling, that it's kind of like, does money and just like fantasy of doing all these random people, is that more important than staying committed to like one person? And to her and many others, it is. So she took Ben's advice and decided to write a book. And the book is, I forget what it's called. I think it's called like A London Call Girl. And it was like a huge smash. She did like a news interview where she like hid her identity. She put on a wig. She had like sunglasses on. She took the sunglasses off, and she realized this is just who she is, and this is who she's going to continue to be. And she's happy doing that. So by like the third season, she started working for this company that would publish her articles and stuff, very similar to, what the real Belle did when writing like a book and stuff. Now, by the second season, like I haven't mentioned this part yet about her. She breaks the fourth wall a lot. Like she literally talks to the audience and like, and stuff like that. Very Deadpool like, right? In the first season, she did it a lot. And I mean a lot. To where she was explaining, what she does and how she does it, and and how she makes men like happy and like, stuff like that. By the second season, she does it much less, which is kind of disappointing because I really enjoy that. And by the third season, she really does it less. And so, like, and it's cool to hear her inner thoughts, you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said before, she's lonely and doesn't have friends. And one of the reasons why is because in the first season, she was talking to this other, like, call girl and everything. And this is when she did the whole gay for pay thing, and like they did this one dude together and they had a pretty good time, and she kind of liked this female a little bit. Like she's starting to like change a little. And so the female call girl lady decided to book an appointment with that same guy but without her, and she realized this is why she doesn't make friends and doesn't make friends in the business. They will literally use you and everything and steal your clients. Similar to what Bambi did. I'll get into Bambi a little bit later because she's a main character starting in season 2 all the way to the end. And so in season 3, she's, having to write all the articles, and her boss is all like, okay, I want you to find the most like eccentric type person and then write about them and stuff. So she starts doing things she normally doesn't do, like the food thing, making yard animal noises. She hired a male prostitute to see what that would feel like, and so she can write about it. And so like there are times she gets writer's block, and other times she doesn't. But she's starting to fall in love with her boss, Duncan, played by James Darcy. And so, like, whatever how you say his last name. And so, like, once again, she has gotten to that point where she's lonely and she wants to be with somebody else, and she actually wants to fall in love. And so, like, I think one of her friends asked her, why is Duncan cool with you being a prostitute and willing to date you and stuff? Like, it's not like a red flag. And so she still is working her job and dating him and stuff like that. And she gets pissed at him. One of the things I've noticed about Hannah is she will treat her clients better than her friends and stuff. Like, cause she had one client and she saw him randomly at a bar when she was with Duncan, and Duncan thought like he was harassing her. So he started being rude to the guy. And she's like, no, don't you ever be rude to my clients and stuff like that. Because she knows this is her money supply and everything. And you have to make your clients happy. So if somebody does something to piss them off, it's going to cause problems. And it's kind of interesting that she would treat her clients much better than her like friends or lovers or whatever. But then it is revealed that Duncan hired Bambi and went by a fake named Robert. So during Bambi's like wedding and everything, and Bambi, because she found out that who this dude really was later on, because Duncan was at her place and Bambi went there, and she's just kind of like, oh crap. So she told Hannah at her wedding that like he went by a fake name and he hired me and stuff. And if he did it for me, he probably has like others on the side as well. So Belle confronts, like, Duncan is all like, was this just a one-time thing? Did my book make you curious? How many times do you like call up prostitutes and stuff? Apparently he has plenty. And she was outraged by this, talking about like, why are you sleeping with other women? And he's all like, well, you sleep with other men. And she's all like, it's my job. And that raises an interesting debate. Is he justified? Think about it. She does sleep with random men and she does it for money. She sees it as a job and nothing more. But him, he thinks, well, if you mess around with other people, then clearly I must be allowed to mess around with other people, because it's kind of like an open relationship thing, but she doesn't see it as an open relationship thing. It's kind of like kings and queens of back in the day. A king can mess around with whoever he wants to, but the queen cannot. And if the queen does it and gets caught, then that's adultery and she will be beheaded. That's how it was back in France and England and all those other countries. It's very one-sided and everything, to where the man can do whatever he wants and the woman can't. But now this is kind of reversed, where the female, who's a call girl, can do whoever she wants as long as she's getting paid, and the man, her boyfriend, cannot. So that's an interesting thing to debate. And it's kind of like, I see his point, because it's kind of like, yeah, this might be your job and everything, but you're still messing around with other people. It's kind of like actors and actresses. This one dude, oh, I can't think of his name. Something McDonald, Norman, not Norman, but Neil Mc something. I forget what his name is. He was in Star Trek First Contact. He was in Arrow, as in the Arrowverse. He was in Helsing. He's been in Desperate Housewives. What's her name? The really bad one that slept around with a bunch of dudes. That one, Edie Britt. He's the one who married Edie in like season 5 and killed her. That actor will not kiss another female or have a sex scene as long as he is married, and he is married. So that's in his contract. He refuses to touch somebody else because he sees it as cheating, even though that's his job to kiss other females and like clickety clack them on like the TV show. So, like I said before, I kind of side with Duncan. Even though this is her job, she's still messing around with other people and stuff. And so in his mind, he's all like, well, if you do it, then I can too, and everything. So they break up and everything, and she exposes him in a vast email to all his employees, talking about like, he hires hires tons of prostitutes, and he has them like write articles to make him money and all this other stuff. Now exposing him, I thought was odd and weird. Like that didn't make no sense because like I don't know, that was just kind of weird. And when she exposed him and everything, like he's like a villain because he dated her, but then he hired prostitutes when she's a prostitute and she has all these clients. It's one of those weird writing decisions. But by season four, I just did not like season four at all. Starting with, see, at the end of season three, she's supposed to go on a private island with this one guy, spend about 3 weeks with him and everything. And Ben calls her up and tells her, look at this note that I gave you. She hasn't looked at yet. And it talks about how I love you and all this other stuff and how your other boyfriends suck, but I won't suck and everything like that. And do you love me too? And she realizes Ben, her best friend, like she never thought the possibility of ever dating him again. Because they used to date many years ago. Then they became best friends and he found out she was a prostitute. And he's shown that he had feelings for her in the first season, but then that kind of went away in the second and the third. But then by the third, I guess all of a sudden those feelings just kind of randomly came up, but not really on screen. And so she still goes and does her job and like, you know, she comes back and all of a sudden in the fourth season, she's now living in a brand new place. So gone is her like fun little apartment, and now it's just this boring looking home and everything. But she's happy and excited because she's moving on up. So after Hannah comes back from her little vacation thing, she doesn't contact Ben whatsoever and giving him the cold shoulder. This is because she knows he wants an answer because he likes her. They have a discussion and she's extremely hesitant to date him because she's worried it could ruin their friendship and everything. But after a while, they start to date and he moves in. Things get a little chaotic because Stephanie, the madam, her former boss, needs her to take over the business because Stephanie got arrested. And she also wants her to watch her 19-year-old daughter, like I said before. And that don't make no sense because the girl is grown, but for whatever reason, whatever. And so it takes like not that much time for the 19-year-old named Poppy to figure out what Belle is because she went through Belle's mail because a delivery guy gave her her photos she took. And Belle was taking like headshots and body shots, you know, to put on like her website and stuff. So this is what's kind of odd. So Poppy decides to break into Belle's like bedroom and find all her sex stuff. Then she went on the internet and searched up Belle and realized, oh, she's a prostitute. So my mom must be a prostitute. And what's so crazy is that Hannah and Ben literally have to like play mommy and daddy to a 19-year-old. And the 19-year-old is so furious. Not so much at her mother, even though she takes it all out on Hannah for some bizarre reason. She is furious at Hannah, giving her the pouty face. Like, she brings some random guy home and starts sleeping with him. And Hannah is pissed. All like, you can't bring random guys here and sleep with. She's like, why not? That's what you do. I mean, Ben's totally okay with it. You know, she's 19 years old. So it does kind of make Hannah look a little bit like a hypocrite. But at that same time, she's trying to look after Poppy because she's so distraught and everything, and she doesn't want her making a mistake, probably getting pregnant or anything, or catching an STD or something like that. It's really interesting because they literally put her in mommy role and that of a boss role for the business and everything. And then Poppy tries to get back with her, but trying to get with Ben. And Poppy even staged it to where Ben was asleep. She hops in bed with him, and Belle comes home to see that from her New York trip, and she's pissed. So her and Ben have an entire rocky relationship this entire season because of the simple fact, not because of her job, that she's messing around with other guys. It's the fact she doesn't spend no time with him. She's constantly away now. Then she went on that trip to New York. And then there's the whole Poppy thing. Because when she went on that trip to New York, they wanted to turn her book into a play, but it's just not working out the way she wants to because the director's vision and her vision are completely different. And so we've already known Ben has had a crush on her for a while. And so you kind of just want those two to be together, even though he's a little scummy. Because remember, he cheated on his fiance and he messed around with Hannah's sister and stuff. But, things just aren't working out for those two. And she's keeping secrets for him. Because for some bizarre reason, they added this cop character in here, and he's obsessed with Hannah. He knows that she's Belle. He knows she's a prostitute. He even tries to pay for her one time, and he's constantly following her around town, just showing up at random. And he's very creepy too. And she starts to fall back in love with this cop, which is bizarre because he's not a client and she's dating somebody. And this was a big no-no for her in season 3, remember? And that's why she broke up with Duncan. And so now she's looking like a hypocrite and everything. And not only that, but remember when I said she's always breaking like the fourth wall? When she breaks the fourth wall, nobody in the show knows she breaks it because they never react to it. But for the first time ever, she's in her place by herself and she's telling us, the audience, like looking at us, talking about she doesn't think no man can handle her, in the business she does and date her and stuff like that. She opens the door and there's the cop and he's all like, I can handle it. And it's like, well, hold up. He heard her break the fourth wall. This is the first time that's ever happened. And so, like, her personality is also more comedic and stuff. But not only that, she's breaking all her rules and stuff. Because this cop dude knows who she is. Not only that, but this one dude who, some guy from Game of Thrones, like, he paid for her services at the hotel. And then he looks at her and he's all like, hold up, you're Hannah from high school. And she doesn't even deny it. She's on the balcony with him having a drink and talking about all the guys she's been with. I'm all like, hold up. She broke her number one rule. And that is, clients should never know who you really are. She could have easily denied it and everything, but she didn't even try. It's like she's not even the same person. And so after cheating on Ben with the cop dude creeps and freaks her out because he blindfolds her, puts her on a balcony on the edge, and he's holding on to her back like he's going to push her and everything. And sometimes he kind of does, and it freaks her out. And so her and Ben, like they literally break up towards the end of the season because he's furious she won't spend no time with him. She's pissed because this relationship is breaking up their friendship. And she literally told him, you're like the only person I have in my life that's like my friend, other than Bambi, who doesn't show up this season. And she's all like, if I lose you, I will literally lose it because, you helped keep me sane and we've been friends for so long. But he's all like, when you, before all this crap, you told me everything. Now she's keeping secrets and she's cheating. And she literally just breaks up with him and walks off and sees both him and the cop and just keeps on walking. And I'm kind of glad she didn't get her happy fairy tale because of the simple fact. See, Ben told her there is no Hannah, there is no Belle, it's just you. See, I don't believe that. Even though Hannah is the biological real person, And Belle is the persona. I believe it's like a Batman Bruce Wayne thing, where Belle is the actual real person and Hannah is the made up persona. Hannah is the person Belle would love to be and like to be. She would like to be in a relationship. She would like to have a normal job. She would like to, just be happy and have a bunch of friends, but she knows she can't because she loves her lifestyle more than anything else. And she will not give up her lifestyle or her job for anybody, not even for love. Belle has it all figured out. Cause Belle knows that she just wants to play the field with, all her clients and stuff. Belle is the one who actually has the job. Belle is the one who actually provides for like the home she lives in. And Hannah is just this person that's kind of like, in my opinion, made up in her head that is just sponging off her and stuff because she's more Belle than she is Hannah. Because in this season, which is another thing, a rule she broke, because that contradicts her from the first season, is that there's this one dude who hires her, and he doesn't even want to have sex with her. He just kisses and other stuff, but then he just lays there and then he leaves, and she's all like, "Who hires a prostitute and doesn't sleep with him?" Well, she said in the first season, some people just want the boyfriend girlfriend relationship and stuff like that. So she's once again, the writers are contradicting her from the first season, but it turns out he's gay and everything. And so, like, in season 3, when she messed around with that male prostitute, and they both figure out, she finally confessed, I'm writing a book and I'm really a prostitute, blah, blah. He's all like, "Hey, let me show you what I can do," and everything, right? She could not do him as Hannah. She literally goes to the bathroom, changes her outfit to her lingerie, and literally says, "If I'm going to do this, I got to do this as Belle." There literally is no Hannah in her mind. She only sees Belle in everything. Whew. Ben, of course, like I said before, he's her best friend. He's also secretly crushes on her. Now, it's weird because those two dated many years ago, but they never said what happened to cause them to break up. Either they just slept together or they dated. Like they did say they sleep together, and they also said they dated. But then it's so weird because they never said what broke them up. Anyway, he has no idea that Hannah is like, has sex for money. And when he finds out, he's not even really shocked. Nobody is shocked except for that Poppy. And so in the first season, he has a fiance. We never ever get to see this woman except for when Hannah's on the phone with him. He's playing video games and we just see like the thigh butt area of his girlfriend walking past him. She's annoyed, so every time she keeps walking past him, she's wearing fewer and fewer clothes. And so when he finds out that like Hannah's like a prostitute, he wants to be one too, just for one time. So he has her set him up with a couple, and it's supposed to be like a foursome thing where they touch the other couple and stuff. And so as she's trying to like teach him how to like, take the money and teach him how to like dress and everything, the couple after a while just doesn't want nothing to do with them. It just wants to do each other. And it's just kind of like, what kind of person is he if he wants to cheat on his fiance? Because it's like, he's a really nice guy and he will do anything for Hannah. When a guy gives like Hannah a bad review online, he gives Hannah a fake review and stuff. And he'll pick her up from wherever she needs to go because she doesn't have a car. But he literally cheats on his fiance. Now, towards the end of the first season, him and Hannah sleep together, and you can tell he has feelings for her, but she doesn't share them back as she goes to date that other guy, upsetting him and stuff. By the second season, we see no hint of him liking her. But like I said before, he'll do like literally anything for her. Like when the boss Stephanie has Hannah and Bambi go to like this party with tons of rich guy, something bad happens and he has to pick Hannah up. He'll even like hang out with Hannah's like boyfriends, even though he doesn't want to do that and stuff. So he has to like endure all this pain of liking her and having to put up with her boyfriends, even though he knows she won't like him. He even dates like her sister in the third season, but then later on breaks up with the sister, and it's never explained why until we find out at the end he asks Hannah out and everything. And like I said before, he dates her in the fourth, only for those two to eventually break up because she keeps like not spending no time with him or nothing like that. And I just he's meant to be really the only nice guy in the show, and for the most part he is, except for the fact he cheated on his fiancee. Oh, wait, correction. Ben did show interest in Hannah in season two because after she broke up with Alex, Ben and Hannah slept together, but then right after that, she went back to Alex and it upset that of Ben. Because I remember they did sleep together, but I said it was season one, but it was actually season two. Bambi, like I said before, the actress who plays her, she's married to Ben in real life. And so Bambi shows up in the second season. She's kind of like this nice, naive girl who wants to get into like prostitution. So Hannah's gonna teach her and stuff. She completely betrays Hannah by stealing multiple clients of hers, which causes Hannah to get pissed and stop befriending her, but only to start being friends with her again when she's in trouble. Bambi, that is. And it's kind of like, Hannah really doesn't want to be friends with her, but she realizes this girl needs help. She constantly is giving her like advice on what to do and what not to do. But Bambi is a really sweet, nice, but like I said before, a naive girl. And so, like, she is the one who comes to Hannah's rescue at that party because for some reason Hannah like decides, maybe I'm not good at being a madam and maybe I need to like set her up with like Stephanie. But Stephanie sent them to like a party where some of the guys aren't really good. Because like the guy Bambi gets, he has a loaded gun, pretend like he's a spy. But the guy that Hannah gets literally ties her up and is going to like assault her and stuff. So Bambi comes in with the gun and makes the dude stop. But now they're like half dressed and on the road and they have to call Ben. In the second season, or no, the third season, I think it is, she ends up falling in love with one of her clients. He's just this young guy who's really rich, comes from like a old money type family, and loves her to death. And so Hannah, like I said before, she's like, asking this dude, well, what's her favorite color and this and that, and giving her the advice that you're not supposed to date your clients and all this. So she breaks up with him only for him to write the words, I love you, and fire and stuff like that. So eventually they do get married and he's totally cool with Bambi being a prostitute. And like I said before, Bambi is the one that found out about Duncan. So when they do get married, like I said before, she doesn't really show up in like the last season, and neither does her husband. But it's really cool because she breaks that of like Hannah's rule. Not only did Hannah befriend like another prostitute and Bambi steals the clients and stuff, Hannah still remains her friend, unlike that person from the first season. Because she realizes that, Bambi needs somebody to help take care of her, and she's a really nice, caring person. Stephanie is the madam, and she doesn't have a place of business. She mostly just goes to this one restaurant, sits in the same place, and offer her her girls clients and stuff. She's all about the money. She's slightly cold-hearted, and even when she almost gets Hannah hurt in what was it, like the first season or something like that, she cares but not really. You know what I'm saying? She's very straightforward. I forget the actress name, but I'm pretty sure she played a doctor in that what was that one show called Painkiller Jane or something like that? It's that one about that, no, Nurse Jackie, that's it, Nurse Jackie. That was a really interesting show, Nurse Jackie. You don't hear nobody talk about that no more. And so, by the third season, no, the fourth season, like I said before, her daughter goes to live with that of Hannah because she ends up getting arrested. And of course, in the last season, Poppy is played by Lily James, and she is the very, naive, daughter of that of Stephanie. She has no idea what her mom does for a living, and she finds out what they do, her and Hannah, when she goes through Hannah's stuff, of all things, and breaks into her room, finding out. Now, it's weird because she literally has a nervous breakdown when she finds out Hannah is a prostitute. When she finds out her mom is one, she cares, but not really. And it's weird how she takes everything out on Hannah because Hannah is not her mom, but she can't get vengeance on her mom because her mom is locked up in prison. So, for some weird, bizarre reason, this 19-year-old girl who can take care of herself but doesn't is taking it out on somebody who's literally not her mother, to the point of sleeping around in Hannah's home and trying to steal Hannah's boyfriend. Is even to the point that when Hannah kicks her out, she is still trying to steal Ben. She follows him to the movie theaters. She tries to kiss him. He pushes her away. But then when he starts to get lonely, he goes back to her, only for him to realize, what the heck am I doing? You know what I'm saying? And when her mom gets out of prison, while she's upset, she's just more thankful her mom is out of prison. And the reason why her mom got out is because her mom knew the judge because he's one of her clients. It's a really odd character, and I really don't like this character at all. But then it's weird because there's a girl named Charlotte who's a prostitute in the fourth season, who's a dominatrix, and she treats her completely fine, but treats Hannah like complete crap. Charlotte is played by Gemma Chang. And she's just a prostitute who's a dominatrix who is very straightforward. And it's just kind of you don't know if she's nice or mean, but she's married. There's not much to her, but she thinks she can run the business a heck of a lot better than Hannah. And for some reason, she just doesn't like Hannah, I guess because it's Stephanie's favorite. But yeah, like I said before, this is a really interesting and really funny type show. You'll learn a lot about the business and be very intrigued by it. But that fourth season is just horrible. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.